The premier table right now, Aaron Bonar and Ethan Eide. We have some very, very interesting looking lists. Right now, Aaron Bonar is flying a very dubious 3 K-Wing list. Miranda Donnie in the K-Wing with twin laser turret and tactician. A Warden class K-Wing with twin laser turret and tactician. And another Warden class K-Wing with twin laser turret tactician. It looks like a very awful area control list right now.
It's a brutal list. His only loss in the 8 rounds yesterday was to Paul Heaver, of course last year and the year before that, world champion. So clearly a list to be reckoned with, but Nathan also one of the top players in the game. I love seeing the two of these two face off because they're two of my favorite players. Nathan has placed spectacularly in just about every single tournament he's gone to. He has been just an absolute champion. Of course, we saw a very close game with him yesterday to clinch that top 16 matchup. And Aaron has been in every single Worlds competition, and he has made the cut. Single Worlds competition. He has been playing for 3 years, and he always flies something crazy. He flew a list called Six Sigma last year, which is sort of similar in theme to his 3 K-Wings this year. Last year he brought 2 Sigma Squadron pilots and Echo. So he seems to favor a nice 3-ship symmetry with a single ace. And these K-Wings, let me tell you, they've been absolutely devastating this tournament. And who could have predicted 3 K-Wings in the top 8?
What a beast. And that beast is going to have to go up against Corran Horn and an E-Wing with R2-D2 and up push and fire control systems. He's also flying against Poe in an X-Wing T-70 with veteran inside auto thrusters and R5-P9, as well as
prototype A-Wing with a chart and refit for 15 points there. Now, I'm going to say to whether or not with the 3 K-Wings can leverage those tacticians. I don't think that Aaron can necessarily outshoot Nathan's 2 aces. He's got so much generation. He's got auto thrusters. He's got probably more firepower on his side of the board despite those twin laser turrets. But what Aaron has is the brutality, the lethality of being able to pile 2 stress per shot on those ships. If Aaron can drown Nathan's aces in stress, prevent them from turning around, prevent them from taking actions, that's going to be game over from Nathan. So he's got to be really, really, really careful with his range bands. He does not want to be caught in the front arc at range 2 of any of those K-Wings, because that is going to be the difference between victory and defeat.
So we've got a question out from the live feed. Really quick prediction here. Who has the advantage here? What are our opinions? I'm going to weigh in with my opinion first. I think those K-Wings are going to just ironically swarm the E-Wing, the A-Wing, and Poe. They're just too effective with those twin laser turrets. They're not going to deal a lot of damage. They're going to deal consistent damage, and they don't have to worry about where they fly or how they maneuver.
I'm also going to give it to the K-Wing simply because the stress control element is so powerful, and Aaron is one of the players in the world. Nathan has a chance. Absolutely don't count him out. I think we're going to know a lot in this opening exchange. If Nathan can get through this, get behind those K-Wings, get out of those front arcs without drowning in stress tokens, I think it's Nathan's game. But I'm going to give the edge to the K-Wings by a hair because I think Aaron has more control options. He's got the slam maneuver on his side. He's got 360-degree coverage. And Nathan plays a very technical, very deliberate control game here. And he just looks like he just boosted up into range. I'm hoping for Nathan's sake that he's outside of range 2, because the last thing he wants right now is a double tap with stress, especially since he's already pushed the limit. So as long as he's playing the range game right and staying at range 3, I think he's going to be all right. But if he gets caught by that K-Wing on the far left, if he takes 2 stress on Corran right away, which leaves Corran with 3 stress, then I think it's going to be really tough for Nathan to recover. Nathan's a savvy player, though. I don't think he would have dropped into range 2 deliberately like that.
Well, I believe he's safe because it looks like those two K-Wings out in front took slam action, so they're not firing back. Their weapons are disabled, so...
Oh, good point. So he's taking the opportunity to get some shots in while those slams are active. Very good point.
Absolutely.
I missed that. So he'll be safe for this round. This is just a chance for him to put some damage on K-Wings while they are ineffectual. And of course, the slam, an incredible tool, but it does leave you vulnerable.
So Corran Horn not doing any damage to a K-Wing, but his fire control systems did pull off, and he's got a target lock on the K-Wing he just shot at, lining him up for another round of attack here shortly. I really do hope that Nathan Eide can surprise me and just pull this one out. It would be it's going to be a fantastic match either way. Gosh, Nathan Eide looks like an underdog to me, and actually I vote for the underdog, or I root for them. But really, those K-Wings, they just look so menacing from this angle. I don't know how I feel about this game yet, but it's going to be good. It's
going to be a fantastic game. And I would say Nathan, perhaps an underdog based on the list matchup, but certainly not an underdog in play skill. I think Nathan is easily players and demonstrated that time and time again. You know, for someone so young, he is playing this game at the absolute level. And, you know, if anyone can take on these K-Wings with the list that he brought, it's definitely Nathan. And we did see the K-Wings go down yesterday to Paul's list, so they certainly can be beaten. It's going to be a very, very high technical, maneuver-based game. Very exciting to watch. We're going to see a really aggressive move by the A-Wing, probably going to try to block some K-Wings. He's going to try to focus fire on these things. I think this is anybody's game. It's absolutely going to be thrilling to watch. Nathan expertly using that A-Wing to just gum up the works. He's going to have to get as much full advantage as he can to deal with these K-Wings. Stay out of the stress. If he pulls a block off here, that'll be spectacular and prevent that K-Wing from slamming. Very nicely done. Wonderful block with the A-Wing. Absolutely. And that's going to let him control the situation. That's going to let him stay out of the danger zone with his aces. It's going to let him do damage and avoid those tactician shots. If Poe moves up, Poe will be able to barrel roll or boost into range 1 and get into the donut hole of those K-Wings, which is absolutely where he wants to be. Beautiful move by Corran. Absolutely excellent position there. No danger from the lead K-Wings tactician. The danger here, of course, is in that rear K-Wing. I think Aaron wants to swing that K-Wing in slowly, start dropping stress on Nathan's aces, and it looks like that's exactly what we're going to see here.
You know, Nathan is coming to us with just a little over a year's worth of experience in X-Wing. He also may be one of the youngest competitive X-Wing players we've seen at only 14 years old. But he's got some very, very humble and nice things to say about his competitive field. A little quote from him: "It's a tough field, and he loves the fact that all he have seen have been different. That the 3K list he's playing against is one of the coolest he's seen."
Yeah, a lot of respect for Nathan. He's a fantastic sportsman, a great player, just clearly in love with this game, and one of the best players. Always a joy to watch. The third time he's appeared on our stream. We featured his game last year, and we featured 2 of his games this year. So always a great match to watch. Consummate sportsman. We've got a really, really interesting matchup here.
So it looks like we've got Corran about to take we're measuring here, seeing whether or not we're at range 1 or range 2. I think Corran's at range 1 of that K-Wing easy.
And that is a huge, if he is in fact in range 1 here, and it looks like he is, that is a big play for Corran, because that's not just one additional die, that's an additional die and a second additional die if he is going to do the double tap. So Judge is taking a very careful measurement here because he knows how important this range band is. Not only for the double tap, but also for the return fire from Tactician. really getting down and gritty with this, because this is absolutely a make or break moment. Nathan needs this to be a range 1 shot for a number of reasons. Being very, very careful to get this right. And it is a range 1. That's huge for Nathan, and a huge roll.
Against only 1 evade, he's going to throw 2 damage and 1 crit into the shields of that K-Wing.
That was a great opening shot from Corran Horn, and of course, saving his target lock and focus for another 4-dice shot to come. But Aaron's also going to get off the strategy that he wanted, which is going to be 2 stress on Corran Horn thanks to this K-Wing, which is not something that's going to be easy for Nathan to deal with. No damage from the first shot,
On the twin
but he
laser
doesn't
from
even care.
Miranda.
It doesn't matter. The strategy is the stress here. Doesn't have to do any damage at all. And even without damage, that's a huge play from that Tactician K-Wing. That's what makes this list so fierce, because Corran Horn is going to be 2 rounds before he gets another stress-free turn, and that is absolutely devastating. But Nathan, great opening position, laying into this K-Wing. 2 stress on the other ace, and maybe some damage as well. Yep, looks like he's going to get a damage through.
Poe's going to take a shot
Got
to the
that
shields.
second shot. Now, if I was Nathan, I might have boosted into range 1 of that K-Wing to avoid that double stress instead of electing for focus. I think a boost into range 1 would have been a much, a little riskier play because he's got the primary turret to deal with. And of course, he could be stressed by that other K-Wing, but Nathan's in a really bad position here, having 2 stress on both of his aces, not what he needed to see. Not a lot of damage coming from Aaron's side of the board, but I don't think that's the strategy for Aaron. I think the strategy for Aaron is drown Nathan's aces in stress, slam out of the fight, and then just circle like a shark and plink away with those twin laser turrets until Nathan is out of position. Really, really unfortunate for Nathan that he got both of his aces caught in that Tactician trap here.
I'm not even sure those K-Wings really have to spend a lot of time running away. I think if they kept up with the green maneuvers, staying stress-free, taking their actions, they'll eventually whittle down.
That target lock proving crucial. Coming in 4 more damage to that K-Wing.
Here's the double tap from Corran Horn.
This is absolutely control versus stress, or versus damage, because Nathan's list hits like a ton of bricks, and Aaron's list is a very technical, stress-based control list. So what we have here is both strategies seeing a lot of success in this opening exchange. Nathan doing a huge amount of damage to that K-Wing, but Aaron able to land 2 stress on both of Nathan's aces. It's going to be a very, very interesting game. I believe that K-Wing has 2 hit points left. Because Corran did 4 damage. He's certainly close to death. It's either 1 or 2 hull points left. So not going to be around for too much longer.
Looks like only one hull point left on that lonely Warden Squadron pilot.
Of course, Corran would have loved a direct hit in there somewhere. Being able to remove a K-Wing from the board would have been huge. It may be difficult to finish that K-Wing off. I suspect that K-Wing will go for an escape velocity move. He's gonna get out of there. If he has to, he's gonna slam away from the arc of that A-Wing, save his points, use his other K-Wings to start plinking away.
What do you think is going to be Nathan's strategy now with those stressed out Poe and a stressed out Corran Horn? Is he going to try to run away and clear that stress? Is he going to try to stay on and kill a K-Wing right now, opening himself up to unprotected attacks? What do you think he's going to do?
I don't know. He's in a really tough position. I think Corran could possibly turn to the left and stay on target, but if he does that, he can't do a green move. He might do a green move to the left followed by a boost to keep in position. Poe is the one who's in a really bad place. Poe can either try to catch those K-Wings in his front arc now or move away for different positioning options. Nathan has no easy decisions, and that's what Aaron's list does here. It makes the game so hard to predict because the unprecedented flexibility of Slam, trying to stay on target with stress on every ship is a very, very brutal play. Now, the one thing that Nathan has going for him is it's not terribly likely that these K-Wings are going to be able to drop more stress on him in the near future. So he is going to have the ability to possibly recover some stress and get back into position here. And of course, Aaron very much the worst from a damage standpoint on that initial exchange. It's possible that the A-Wing can drop that last K-Wing. Corran Horn here is going to be able to avoid the block, which is very good. Clear a stress token. Of course, he can't boost. I mentioned a boost earlier, but he's going to still have a stress token, so he's in really bad shape in that respect.
That was a green maneuver, so he does get to rally some life back, regen shields with R2-D2.
Looks like Miranda's also going to clear Corran here, be able to bring its weapons to bear against Poe, possibly. This is actually not a terrible turn for Nathan because all of these K-Wings are very close, and it's certainly better to receive one, primary attack or two than it is to receive, that consistent lethal twin laser turret damage. Of course, Miranda being right there, she can boost that, the primary attack to a 4-dice attack with her special ability, and if Corran has some bad defense rolls, that could very well spell doom for him. So not a great place for Nathan to be in from that respect, but if he can get through this round without taking too much damage on Corran, he's not going to be in too terrible shape for future rounds. I think this is going to be a fantastic game.
I really don't want to see Poe or Horn take a dive this round. It's a very real possibility.
That would be a very disappointing. What looks like it's going to be a great game.
All three of those K-Wings are round one, or range one of Poe. Miranda can't shoot at Poe, but lots of tasty targets. And really, only one of those is going to take any shots from. It looks like the A-Wing is the only one with angle.
Yep, that's what the lethality of that double stress tactician strategy does. It means that you can, you'll take a big hit in that joust, but then you'll be able to just outfly and outmaneuver and just position yourself so beautifully.
So we've got a range one attack from one of the K-Wings.
It's like Miranda. A twin laser turret attack. I'm not sure. Yep, I'm not sure which is being. Okay, it looks like now a range one attack coming in against Poe here. Aaron really choosing his targets carefully. Nope, he's actually going to do a twin laser attack against Corran here.
That looks like range two.
Corran coming in is going to take a damage, not what Corran needs. And a miss.
Corran's going to take, potentially with Tactician, another 2 dice, 2 stress, I mean.
No, Tactician's in arc only, so Corran is free from stress this turn. Or he'd really be in rough shape. Yeah, Tactician's powerful, but it's a very specific trigger. You have to be in arc and at exactly range 2, and which is why I think that's one of the reasons we haven't seen a triple K list like this have widespread popularity. The reality, of course, is this is not an easy list to play. You've got to be at like Aaron Bonar's level to be able to pull something crazy like this off. And one thing I love about Aaron, he always shows up with something wild. He's one of those players who's just he's gonna take the toolbox that is X-Wing list building, and he's gonna build something wild, and not only creative, crazy, but also inevitably really brutally fantastic. Remember, his strange, lists that are totally in defiance of have shown up to every single World Finals. He's an absolute top-tier player and bringing some crazy stuff. This list for me personally is a little bit validating because the K-Wing has been written off by, I think, a lot of people who it's a strange ship. It's not a very efficient ship if you just look at it in terms of the points you pay for the hull and the shields and the weapon, but it's a ship with a lot of crazy tricks, and as you can see in the hands of an expert player, it can be an absolutely devastating list. It's not the only K-Wing in the top 16 either. There was a Miranda Corran list that made the cut, and actually a lot of K-Wings on top tables. Clearly an underestimated ship here, and we're seeing, I think, very surprising degree of success from it at this World Finals. Not a ship I would have necessarily pegged for a top 8 squad. Certainly not a 3-of squadron. But it's really, really interesting to see something crazy come out of the ether here and make a big splash.
You know, and they're not awfully expensive as far as ships and lists go. The 2 Warden Squadron pilots with Twin Laser Turret and Tactician are only 23 points each. That's just.
Well, they're gonna clock in at 30.
Oh,
31
I'm sorry.
apiece.
I was looking at something else. Yeah, 31 with the added upgrades, but
that's still a pretty cheap price for Slam. 9 hit points, a Twin Laser Turret, and an unbelievable amount of control. Now it looks like one thing. I think in Nathan's favor here, he really didn't take any damage from that exchange. Aaron's been able to really leverage his control aspect of this list, but he hasn't been able to really do anything. 1 shield on Corran. Corran's almost certainly going to regenerate that shield with a green maneuver. So, you know, unfortunately for Aaron, while he has had a great degree of control here, his K-Wings are now out of position for future tactician shots, and Nathan's list is genuinely undamaged. I actually think that this game may be tilting in Nathan's favor. If Nathan can stay on target, continue to do those devastating shots, and continue to, deal damage and receive really no damage in return, he's absolutely going to be able to win this game. Very, very, very good opening play for Nathan.
We've got a K-Wing slamming away, trying to put distance between himself and the other K-Wings, as well as Poe and Corran Horn, looking like they may circle around. We're seeing a lot of very precise movement, a lot of very precise maneuver taking. We're taking a lot of time to make sure we're staying as accurate as possible with these ships.
These players know how much is on the line. Neither of them wants to throw the game out of whack with a clumsy move here. So really fantastic, delicate play. You know, the crazy thing about X-Wing, especially at the highest level, it can look a little bit like brain surgery sometimes. I remember last year when I was judging.
Well, look at how many hands here.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. It's like, you know, scalpel. You want someone standing by to like
suction.
Pat their brow down. I remember a similar situation last year. I had my finger on 4 different ships. It was the finals last year. I was judging, and it was I think Jonathan. Who's I don't remember. I think it was Ira versus Panic Attack. Mr. Froggy's Panic Attack list. And it was a huge cluster in the middle, sort of like this. And I had my hand on 4 different ships. They were lifting the templates. It was perhaps the most delicate operation I've ever performed in my life. Not something I was expecting to do as a game developer, but it's the nature of this game. It's a very, very technical game, and especially at this level, nobody wants to knock a ship over, make a mistake that will, skew the game, however minutely.
Well, we know these players really want clean wins. They want to earn the victories that they take, and they want to know that if they were defeated fairly.
Absolutely.
And being the nature of this game with models and firing arcs, a lot of time needs to be taken to make sure we're doing things precisely.
Absolutely. And that's one of my favorite things about this game, honestly. The community is so wonderful. We've seen such great sportsmanship all weekend, really no major issues whatsoever. Every single one of these players, super happy to be here, fantastic sportsmanship. They want to do everything by the books, in the right order, play a clean game. Nobody wants to win on a technicality. Nobody wants to get an unfair advantage. And that's the kind of thing that I've come to expect from the X-Wing community. It's a real treat to design a game that has such a wonderful fan base and such an amazing community. The tournaments I've attended personally, I found that to be absolutely the case. And so I think that's one of the joys of watching this game is everybody's in it for the love of the game. Everybody wants to play a clean, perfect game. You don't really have any not too much crazy Oh, yep, got a great note here from Mr. Froggies. That was Jonathan Gomez versus Ira. I remember that game well. I couldn't remember Jonathan's last name, but what a fantastic game that was. Came right down to the wire. I think Ira barely pulled it off, but it was an incredible control list versus a turret list. It was a great game last year, and it was one of the more dexterous feats I've performed in my life. which is kind of hilarious.
So we've got a question. It's a rather detailed question from the feed. How much of the opening skirmish going Nathan's way was piloting, and how much was it dice luck?
That's a great question. I think it's a bit of both. I would put the edge on piloting. Nathan was able to block that K-wing with his A-wing, which was very, very huge, and he was able to line Corran up for a range 1 double tap in the opening volley. In retrospect, the one mistake that he may have made was not boosting Poe into range 1 of the other K-wing. But you know what?
I'm sorry. That was a massive shot against Corran Horn.
Does it look like Corran took some damage from that, or did he successfully evade it?
I think he evaded most. He may have taken one.
Looks like
damage.
he's still got 2 is that the A-wing? I can't see Poe's cards right now, but looked like maybe 1 damage slipped through. Not too bad. But no, I think that was mostly skill. Nathan put himself in a great position. He put himself in a position where, even being stressed on both of his aces, he didn't allow either ace to get 4 stress tokens dumped on him. He didn't allow either ace to get into a position to get shot multiple times. So he was able to recover from that initial stress dump, and he's now in a really good board position. That being said, his attacks with Corran Horn were absolutely spectacular. You know, you can't complain when you roll hit, crit, and then followed by, 4 more hits with Corran Horn. So a little bit of luck came into play there as well. And also Nathan not taking a lot of damage in return. So definitely luck has been on Nathan's side, but I would credit most of his success at this point to some excellent flying.
Right now we've got a match. This is all about flying here. We have these lumbersome K-wings that can put on the gas if they need to, but they don't have a lot of latent maneuverability. And then we have these highly maneuverable aces waiting to get. Some of the Poe is a little out of position. The A-wing is behind those K-wings, but they're not in a very he's not in a very great spot to add a lot to the fight. Really, Corran Horn will find himself in the middle of a 3 K-wing trap if he's not careful.
Yeah, that's the danger with the K-wing. Of course, it's deadly at any range. By having that one that 2S primary turret means that, unlike a Y-wing with a twin laser turret, the K-wing has no donut hole, so to speak. It has no range 1 weak spot. Nathan's very good at playing the range game, but Aaron can also play that game. If he can line up 3 shots against Corran Horn, who has already taken some damage here, he is going to be in a pretty good position. It's all going to come down to dice rolls. Now, of course, what Nathan's going to need to do is he's going to need to finish off that wounded K-wing before it gets a chance. If he can take a K-wing out of the game, that's going to swing in his favor, and he's got a really good chance of eliminating it this turn. If he can get the numbers he needs, he's going to be able to drop that K-wing before it even gets a chance to fire, and that is going to allow him to really control the rest of this match. It's only when all 3 of those K-wings are operational that the true power of Aaron Bonar's list is on display. As soon as even one of them goes down, the offensive and control aspects of this list take a phenomenal hit. And so I think that the next few rounds are going to be really decisive. Nathan needs to eliminate that K-wing, and if Aaron, on the other hand, is able to utilize this triangle of death that those K-wings have on Corran, if he can wipe out Corran, Nathan is pretty much done for, I would have to say. If Corran goes down, it is not going to be easy for Nathan to come back from that. So we're going to have a very, very interesting round here. I'm not sure Corran has a shot this turn, which is problematic. Poe may be able to boost into position.
Here's the
Talon roll. I love seeing Nathan pull the Talon roll because it's one of those things. Nathan knows exactly when to do it. He knows exactly when that's going to come into play, and it's always just beautiful to see. Of course, the Talon roll, a brand new maneuver with the Force Awakens core set.
That's right.
It was a treat to design that maneuver, and I've seen Nathan use it to great effect in both of our televised games so far. So very satisfying to see that maneuver be so useful. Poe, the hero of the upcoming Force Awakens movie, has proven a very, very good piece in X-Wing as well. Paul Heaver has Poe in his list. Nathan has Poe in his list. Seen a lot of Poes out there today. So really, the viability of the T-70 X-Wing and particularly of Poe Dameron, really one of the stronger pilots in the game.
So Corran Horn is taking some shots, but seems to be evading.
Actually, I think that was Poe's shot. Corran's coming up here. Or no, this is maybe Miranda.
I just thought I saw a few defense tokens coming off of Corran Horn.
So we got a question: what is a Talon roll? A Talon roll is similar to the choreographed maneuver, in that the Talon roll, but instead of doing a straight maneuver and then flipping 180 degrees, you do a hard turn maneuver either to the right or to the left, depending on which you selected, and then you turn your ship 90 degrees. And A-Wing getting hit crit. The K-Wing is down, it looks like. Oh, yep. And that is a huge play for Nathan here. Absolutely needed to take that K-Wing out, and that is going to be very, very telling.
A-Wing through an asteroid, puts the final damage on the K-Wing to get it off the board. Still a lot of life to chew through on the remaining K-Wings. They each have 9 life. That's 18 hit points that Nathan needs to burn. But now he's got a little bit more maneuverability. He's a little safer not having a full turret ship around to give him much headache. His biggest danger is Miranda, with her ability to upscale attack or to solidify her defense if she's ever taken hits. Just gonna have to watch Nathan strategy evolve a little bit. How he plans to wrangle in these 2 remaining A-Wings.
It looks like Corran has no shields, so he has taken damage. Really, and unfortunately for Aaron, Nathan's defense rolls have been decent, and he has not been able to do what I think his plan was, which was to just drown Corran in a ton of 3-dice attacks and TLT attacks, and take him out of play. Of course, Corran, one of the most frustrating pilots in the game to play against. If you've gotten in 2 hit points or 1 hit point, and he just comes back, regenerates all of those shields. He's got push the limit, so he can turn with focus and evade. I think Aaron may have missed his chance to kill Corran here. He's going to need some luck. Corran, of course, recovering a shield. He will have a chance to do it, of course. He's going to have, again, 1 shot with this K-Wing, and he's going to have a twin laser shot with the K-Wing. If he can bring Corran Horn down, if he gets a little bit of luck on his side, which he has not enjoyed thus far, he still has a real chance in this game. It's all going to come down to this combat phase. If Corran Horn survives, Aaron's going to be in a really tough position. If Corran Horn goes down, I think the momentum flips the other way.
So we've got a question from the field. I'll take a crack at this one. Do you think Aaron forgot about the Talon rolls? Did he misplay the situation? No, I don't think Aaron cares an awful much about Talon rolls or any of the jinky maneuvers. He's flying K-Wings with turrets. All he really needs to care about is whether or not he lands on asteroids or loses actions when he runs into people. I don't think it's a big deal.
Aaron not getting the rolls he needs here.
I don't think it's a big deal that Poe turned into him. Poe is dangerous, but you got to remember, as soon as Poe pulls one of those tongue twisters there.
Poe Dameron pulls the constituency.
As soon as Dameron pulls a Talon roll, he's stressing out. He's losing his ability to take actions. He's gaining a slight positional advantage, hopefully for another round, trying to chase somebody. No, if anything, the Talon roll may have compromised Nathan's position just a little bit, especially considering where the K-Wing is on him. No, I don't think Aaron has any problems with Talon rolls. I just don't think he cares.
I'm gonna have to disagree with you a little bit. I think the Talon roll was actually a really good move for Nathan. It kept Poe in the fight, and that's always important. It also prevented Poe from getting tagged with another double stress from that tactician. Now, I don't think it was a death blow to Aaron's strategy. Aaron needs to bring Corran down. His every every move is bent on that right now, and he needs to make it happen. If he doesn't, he can't possibly win this game. So Aaron laser focused, and I think making all the right moves. The dice aren't quite there for him. But no, I think that Talon roll was a good, solid move for Nathan. I don't think it impacted Aaron's strategy over much, but it did deny a double tactician shot from that K-Wing. And I think ultimately it was a good move for Nathan. Not a game-breaking move, but definitely I think worked out in Nathan's favor, especially since he has a great chase trajectory now to go after that K-Wing on the upper right of the screen. I think Nathan really well positioned for this fight.
I can see that.
TLT's coming out, but Nathan's dice hotter than hot. Aaron just can't do the damage here. He's chipping away at Poe. He's chipping away at Corran, but I just don't think he's got the firepower to keep it up. We're going to see. This is a big hit.
This is Corran doing a double tap on Miranda right now. 3 hits and a crit against a single evade.
It's going to tear some damage off of Miranda. Honestly, Aaron's strategy has been superb this game. I really can't fault his flying, but he has not had the rolls that he needed. That's always the danger with going after one of these regenerating aces. Even when you can bring all your guns to bear, if you have a round of combat that doesn't go your way, you don't roll enough hits, or their evades are higher than you expect, you can get Corran Horn down, but he just comes right back. It's one of the reasons Nathan's list is so deadly. And this year we see not one, as Nathan has flown Corran Horn in every game I've ever seen him play, but Nathan now has not one, but 2 regenerating pilots, rebel aces that he knows like the back of his hand, and that is what has served him well all day yesterday, and is what is letting him just dominate. With Corran Horn, I don't think there's a better Horn tonight.
Nope. So we've got a quick question. It doesn't look like it's directed to you or me, so we could both answer it if you like. First, what is your favorite ship, and what is your favorite pilot?
Oh, that's a very interesting question. It's hard to choose favorites. I'm kind of a scum and villainy guy. I always loved the bounty hunters from Empire Strikes Back. And so my favorite pilot is probably Scum Boba Fett, just because I just love the way his ability plays out. Whether or not he's absolutely top tier is a question of debate, although he has won some big events. And I think that as more tools come out for Scum, he's going to get better and better. Glitter Stim gives him a lot more viability. But he's certainly a very, very strong pilot at the very least. And most importantly, and this is something I try to never lose sight of, he's super fun to fly.
Oh, absolutely.
He's got that just barrel into combat, don't worry about bumping. Just get up in the grill, maybe pop a glitter stim and go crazy. He can really tank. I did watch him win in the UK national tournament. They ran a huge epic tournament, and the winner of that tournament was 4 IG-88s, Boba Fett, some Z-95s, and one of the ships had Bodyguard, which is not a card you see very often, but he would bodyguard Boba Fett, give him 3 agility, pop glitter. Boba would usually be in range of 2 or 3 enemy ships. He was untouchable. They didn't scratch his paint job. So in that situation, he really shines. In terms of favorite ship, I love the Aggressor. I love the way it flies. I love crazy design. I love the fact that it's captained by a murderous droid bent on, world domination or galaxy-wide droid revolution. I think it's a fun ship to fly. It's a really high-level ship. It's hard to fly well, but when it's working, it is a really, really deadly list. I'm not sure we have any dual IG-2000s in the top 16 or in the top 8. Not exactly sure what everybody's flying, but I'm going to check on that. Certainly, we had some of them near the top on some of the top tables yesterday. So if they didn't make the cut, they didn't miss out by much. They're a really fun ship, and probably my personal favorite, just because how weird they are.
I have a really hard time. You gave me a lot of time to think about this. Answering this particular question, but I still am tied. My favorite 2 pilots are Scum Boba Fett, very much like you, and Imperial Soontir Fel.
Soontir's is a classic. You can't go wrong with a classic.
And their respective ships. They both the pilots have attitude, but a kind of swagger and suave finesse, and their ships fit their personalities spectacularly. The Slave 1 can do damage at the front and the back, surprisingly maneuverable with engine upgrade, and man, oh man, can can Boba Fett survive if he's got recon specialists giving him two focuses a turn?
Looks like an unbelievably close-in turn there, but Aaron checked it out. Doesn't look like a bump. Had that been a bump, it would have been a much bigger problem for Nathan, but like he dropped that thing in just surgically. Sorry to break in there, but that was a beautiful maneuver there.
We've got some absolutely amazing maneuvering here, way more important than my preferences and favorite ships and pilots. I'll just finish it out by saying I love the TIE Interceptor and all of its maneuverability. And it's just fierce looking. Aesthetically, it's amazing. But this game here is going all over the place. We're seeing a lot of great piloting. I'm really, really proud of Aaron and what he's been able to do with these K-Wings, slipping them out of arcs and giving himself some distance to do another round of twin laser turret attack that will essentially be uncontested. He will not suffer any attacks from... No, he won't suffer any attacks. He'll give him time to regroup and potentially turn himself around to face his opponents and level and maybe another tactician round against Nathan Eide.
I think he's going to be able to get some more tactician shots off, which are going to be absolutely crucial. Aaron really has a tough situation on his hands right now because he no longer has the concentrated offense to bring down these regenerating ships. They're going to keep coming back, gaining their shields back up. He's got to be feeling a little bit frustrated because he had such a great plan for the way that this was going to go out. Nathan flew excellently, of course, as well, but Aaron really did set up the shots that he was going to need to win this game, and the dice they weren't there for him. Now, that being said, the K-Wing, despite its slam maneuver, despite its turrets, it is not an easy ship to fly. That dial is not great. You know, especially if you're not slamming because you need to get the offense into play. It's one of the worst dials in the game. I mean, frankly, it's very, very difficult. And if you need to point your arc at something, if you need to, not only get your enemy in arc, but also at range 2, you're not working with an interceptor dial. You're not even with an X-wing dial. You're working with a dial that's almost as bad as the shuttle or the Hawk. It's not a ship that was built for dogfighting or for in-arc abilities, which is what I think makes Aaron's list all the more impressive. It's not easy to do what he's doing. It's not easy to win 7 games out of 8. Only losing to Paul Heaver yesterday with a crazy list like this.
Now, Alex, we have some absolutely awesome questions coming at us from our chat room. Maybe these are questions we need to take a little bit of time to think about because I know we could each expound on them differently. There's one specific to you, however. Alex, how tricky is it to design the ship dials?
It is very difficult. I think that's one of the things that goes through perhaps the most revision in the design process. What you want a dial that reflects the ship, that you're designing. So that's probably the most important step. But you also want a dial that offers new play experiences. I think the dial it's just such an essential part of the game's design. When we were working on the K-Wing, for example, given how powerful Slam was and how lumbering that ship looks, we knew that it made a ton of sense to have a poor dial and it has to leverage that Slam to enjoy its increased flexibility. And I think what we end up with in that case is a very different, very interesting ship, a good ship, but a ship that's tricky to fly well, has a lot of options, but it's hard to leverage. It gives it a really unique character. The K-Wing is not like any other ship. I think the same goes for a number of ships that James Niffen designed in the early waves. And, James was interested in setting up certain archetypes. He designed the Interceptor and the A-Wing, and that has given us a template for, how fast maneuverable dogfighters perform. And he also designed, one of my favorite ships is the Imperial Shuttle, because it's just genius. He was able to overload its stats to an almost ridiculous degree for the points that you pay for it. It's the shuttle on the face of it has everything. It's got 3 attack, it's got 5 shields, 5 hull. It's 1 point cheaper than a B-Wing. Same agility. It's got a system slot. It's got 2 crew slots. If you look at the stats of that ship and you say, this is 21 points, without knowing the dial, you would say, that's crazy. What's going on? But what its extremely limited dial does is it means that in order to leverage that ship's power and efficiency, you have to have an amazing plan for it going in, like we saw last game, and you have to really play it well. And I think that's what makes this game so fascinating. Every ship has a different role to play, and that role is defined by a huge combination of things. Upgrade slots, dials, attack dice, defense dice, numbers. But the dial is maybe the most important thing in determining what that ship's character is.
We've had a very eventful exchange of fire here between the A-Wing and the K-Wing here. Not a lot of results sticking. It looks like that K-Wing took a shield impact from a fairly light 3 dice attack that only resulted in 2 hits from the A-Wing. No, it's where is that second attack coming from?
Looks like it might be. It looks like the first attack might have been Poe, and the second attack might have been the A-Wing here.
Excellent.
Although maybe not. It looks like the K-Wings are about to fire. Very interesting.
You guys in the chat rooms are coming with some great questions, and we want to answer them all. So we're having a little bit of time ourselves, personally deciding, do we want to watch the game or do we answer these great questions?
I think with only 30 minutes left in the round, we're going to hold off on further questions for now and just watch the flow of this battle. It's getting very exciting. Aaron's K-Wings taking some serious damage going into this fight. Aaron, I think, really the underdog at this point. So he's looking to come back, looking to make something happen here, because otherwise Nathan's just going to relentlessly, like a junior Terminator, bring Corran and Poe there and just shut these K-Wings down. I believe that Aaron may have missed his golden opportunity in the middle just due to bad dice rolls or the dice not coming up quite the way he would have liked. It's going to be very difficult for him to escape from this bad situation. I almost wonder if it is in his best interest to maybe slam away and come around for another pass, but I don't think he has any good routes to do that. He's kind of boxed in by Aaron's formation here, that A-Wing proving to be a blocker, a menace of a blocker, and really Nathan using that thing expertly to gum up the works.
I think Aaron did a really interesting thing, letting his K-Wings pass each other, allowing Miranda to skip out and try to get a break from the attack she was taking, and take a real opportunity to reposition, while also sending the Warden Squadron pilot without much damage on it to get inside Nathan's formation and pick at some choice targets. I'm just not sure if Aaron's going to have enough time to really bring Miranda out of the forest, as it were.
Well, I think when you're playing against Nathan's list, it's a brutal list for a lot of reasons, but particularly because I feel like every game against Nathan reaches this point where you either take out Corran Horn or it's basically over. Almost every game I've watched him. The last game that he played, the final game of yesterday that we televised, his opponent sprang an excellent trap, had a lot of guns on Corran, even blocked Corran, and had a pretty good chance of bringing him down. And he did exactly what he had to do. He played it exactly right. But Nathan's defense dice were just good enough. Corran survived again with like 2 hull remaining, and then he just starts that relentless regeneration. And once you start getting your own ships that can't regenerate, that have more trouble, you reach this tipping point against a list like Nathan's, where if you haven't sealed the deal, when you're at full strength, when you have all the ships in arc, and Aaron did absolutely everything he could, but because he couldn't quite bring Corran down, and it was very close, but because he couldn't quite bring Corran down, that tipping point is over, and now he's going to need a miracle to drop one of these ships with only 2 ships left. No real chance of another tactician shot coming into play for the foreseeable future. I don't see anything other than spectacular luck being able to turn this around for Aaron at this point.
Now, we just saw Corran spending a lot of time trying to reposition. He finally took a barrel roll, push the limit boost to try to get a little bit better angle on Miranda running away. I'm not seeing any defense dice out on Corran now. That's a little distressing, but there's a chance with that green maneuver he just took. He might have regen some shield, so he might now have a lot to worry about. So we have. I know we said that we would hold off on answering some questions, so maybe we'll try to expedite here. We got another couple of good ones. First off, is the corner better for Aaron because it removes maneuverability from Eide? I don't know if we're really seeing that play out too much in his favor.
If we were talking about the initial pass where Aaron deployed in the corner, I think, yeah, it was a good play. He did what he had to do in that opening. Right now, though, Aaron is not.
We just saw a hit and a crit land on Miranda, it looks like. Didn't quite see what that crit was, but as soon as crits start piling up on those K-Wings, they're going to have a hard time from bouncing out.
Absolutely. Aaron needs some spectacular rolls here.
So this is a shot from, looks like a twin laser turret.
I think Miranda used her ability to regen a shield there, but Nathan's dice. Nathan's dice are not giving Aaron any room to breathe.
So we've got a pretty standard but decent question here. Alex, what would you play differently if you were in Aaron's situation?
Honestly, this is one of those games where I don't see anything that Aaron expressly did wrong. The only thing that might have changed the tenor of the match would be in the early stages, rather than going after Corran, if Aaron had potentially slammed away with his entire list and tried to come around for another tactician pass. I don't even know if that's a good strategy or not. It's just one of the only alternative options I saw. But no, I think Aaron played this right. I really do. I think there was...
oh no, Miranda just took a dive from
down.
A big shot coming from Poe.
And with that, I think it's all but over. With that, I think it's all but over.
So right now we've got a pretty strong list from Nathan and A-Wing, Poe Dameron, Corran. They haven't taken a lot of damage, and they're up against a K-Wing that is faced in totally the direction, doesn't have a lot of movement left. There aren't many more options left for that K-Wing.
Yeah, it's a Warden Squadron pilot facing the wrong direction for tactician use against two regenerating monsters and a very annoying A-Wing. At this point, there's really no way that Aaron can win this game. There just isn't. There was round after round after round where Aaron had a good chance of dropping Corran, or even a couple rounds where he had a decent chance of dropping Poe. But it just never worked out the way he needed it to. He is going to be able to stress out this A-Wing if it's a range. Well, no, that's probably a range one shot, so Tactician won't even come into play. I think this is just the beginning of the end, but Aaron's not giving up, to his credit.
All right. Thank you.
The problem with the K-Wing, though, those twin laser turrets, they're very consistent, but they also don't allow for the kind of spike in damage that he would need, the sort of miracle Hail Mary shot that he would need in order to kill one of Nathan's ships at this juncture.
We've got about 15 minutes left in the round, but I don't think Nathan Eide's going to need that much time to really put the nail in that K-Wing's coffin, unfortunately.
But to Nathan's credit, he flew gorgeously. He absolutely flew spectacularly well.
We have seen a fantastic match that has really just come down to dice not rolling the way Aaron needed to. He put himself in some very great physical positions on the board, but he's just at the mercy of Nathan's dice now.
At this point. Well, you remember what I said in the beginning of the match when I gave the K-Wings the edge? I said if Aaron was able to drown those aces in stress, he would be able to pull it off. And if he wasn't, then Nathan's superior firepower was going to carry the day. And that's exactly what happened. The K-Wings got off one great initial burst of stress, but they were never able to dump 4 on 1 target. They were never able to put stress on after that initial joust. And I really believe that's what cost Aaron this game. And that's due largely to Nathan's great flying. But, you know, Aaron does not have the offense to take on Nathan's list, not by a long shot. What he really needed to do was pile on so many stress tokens that Nathan has no offense, has almost no defense, and has no recourse. And to Nathan's credit, he never let that happen.
No. I think if I were flying those K-Wings myself, one thing I might have done differently was use my slam a little bit more aggressively. Point my nose faster into my enemy ships, and just give myself a few more of those twin laser turret tactician shots. Right now we see a Warden pilot K-Wing fighting very hard to stay in the middle of a tight formation. He's not going to have many shots on him. Poe Dameron looks like he may maneuver in just the right way to past, whether he gets any angle. I'm really. Oh, it looks like there's a bump. So
there's gonna be no shots for Nathan this turn. That's gonna give.
That's great for that K-Wing. It's fantastic for the K-Wing, but there's just not much opportunity for that K-Wing to layer any damage on either of the ships he does have shots on.
Now let's see. It does look like a good roll for the K-Wing for a change.
Range 1, primary weapon, focus saves 2.
And he plinks one shield off the A-Wing. It's just too little too late at this point. You know, I wonder, well, see, here's the thing. Like, it's tempting to say, well, maybe you should have taken out that A-Wing early because you actually have a chance to do it. But, you know, the thing is, the A-Wing doesn't really matter. He had to pour his fire onto those aces because you can't let them stay alive. You know, we've seen it play out time and time again. You get them down to the edge, but they come right back.
So we have a very poignant question. Seems like the Talon roll was the turning point. Would you call that the highlight of the match? No, I wouldn't call it the highlight. Turning point, maybe. It was a fantastic bit of positioning for Poe, and it got him facing again towards the ships he needed to shoot at. I don't know. What do you think?
I thought it was a great move. I thought it was absolutely a spectacular move on Nathan's part. I really thought that it was exactly the right play for Poe to make. It's always exciting to see a Talon roll hit the table. But that being said, I think the game at that point was really already over for Aaron. That was the same turn that Aaron had basically his last chance to wipe out Corran Horn. His last real chance to wipe out Corran Horn, bar sort of miraculous turn of fate. And when his dice didn't do the job, Poe was the nail in the coffin at that point. That Talon roll while it was an excellent move, and while it kept Nathan, flying at 100%, and arguably a move that Nathan needed to make, the real end of that game, and it looks like it's over now, but the real end of that game was when he couldn't take out Corran Horn.
That was a grueling match, a 100-0 victory here. A lot of pilots, not many tactical errors or mistakes. It was just unfortunate dice results.
Kudos to Aaron once again. Aaron, spectacular player, super, super nice guy. I've known him for years. He brings a list that makes me smile. That also is fiercely, fiercely competitive despite its strangeness. So, last year he had the 6 Sigma list, two Sigma Squadron Phantoms and Echo with intelligence agents. And that list, again, it got him into the finals, but had a tough matchup against some high pilot skill turrets. But he's always going to bring something interesting. He's never gonna run with the crowd. He's never gonna be the one to take that list that's all over the place. I fully expect him to show up next year, make the finals with another bizarre list. He's a fantastic player and just absolutely spectacular run here. Bit of a tough break with this last game, but you know what? A loss to Nathan is a loss to one of the best players in the world. And he had a tough matchup on his hands going up against that list of Nathan's.
Absolutely. One more thought. A question about strategy. This comes from one of our watchers in the chat room. Did the A-wing blocks have major impact? I think so.
Huge.
I think that was a very aggressive move that Nathan was able to make right away. Catch Aaron off guard, make Aaron think a little bit more about positioning and what to do about these extremely fast, agile ships inside his comfort zone. Yeah, I think it was a big deal.
Oh, it was an incredible block. Not only did it did it rob that K-wing of an action, which is important, but not as important in a a ship with a TLT and that kind of thing. But what it really did was once that A-wing successfully blocked that K-wing, that means no slam for that K-wing. That means that Nathan knows exactly where it's going to be, and he can arrange the rest of his list in the perfect fashion. That opening gambit from Nathan was perfect, getting into range 1 with Corran Horn and just piling damage on that K-wing. Now, you remember how long they spent measuring that out to determine if it really was range 1, because if Nathan had been even a few millimeters outside of range 1, that wouldn't have been an 8-dice double tap. That would have been a 6-dice double tap, and Corran Horn would have had 4 stress on him.
Sure.
I honestly think that opening play, the block combined with Corran Horn's perfect range 1 positioning, I think that was a game-winning move on that opening exchange, because if he hadn't nailed that range 1 band, 4 stress on Corran Horn, I think Aaron quickly kills Corran after that, and then it is all over.
That was a long, long match to see. A couple of decisions in the first couple of maneuver rounds.
Those had a huge impact. Of course, it wasn't over until I would say it wasn't truly over till it was over. But I don't think it was decisively one way or another until about round. 6 or 7, when Aaron had the K-wings all circled up on Corran Horn. But certainly, had Aaron been able to quadruple stress Corran in round 1, I think that it would have won him the game. So Nathan being able to avoid that trap, I think he was then able to make a real game of it and leverage his offensive advantage. So that was huge. That was a huge opening play.
That was fantastic. A man after my own heart, charging that A-wing in there as fast as he did.
Absolutely.
To all of you out there on the internet watching our live stream, thank you very much for joining us. You have just seen the conclusion of round 10. Mm-hmm. We're going to be drifting into the semifinals, the final 4, next round. In a couple of minutes, we're going to take a short break and come back and help you see the best X-Wing versus TIE Fighter versus Scum ships being played in the world here in Roseville, Minnesota. This is FFG's Fantasy Flight Games 2015 World's Championship. Thank you very much for joining us. Bye-bye.